8 minutes we got left before we chat. Grab your coffee, find your seat. Cowbells are ringing, that's our cue. Gonna share our thoughts with you. Laugh and gossip, spit in tea. Little secrets between you and me. Countdown ticking, let's get real. Heart to heart, it's how we feel. Gurl TauX in 8 minutes time. Ring that bell, let's feel the rhyme. Share our dreams and tell our fears. Gurl TauX, wiping all those tears. Snap a pic of what we wear. Brush our hair, let down our care. Conversations never lie in this moment with you and I. Clock is ticking, here we go. Words like rivers start to flow. Tune your ears and hear the beat. Gurl TauX makes our time so sweet. Gurl TauX. Is ticking, here we go. Words like rivers start to flow. Tune your ears and hear the beat. Gurl TauX makes our time so sweet. Gurl TauX in 8 minutes time. Ring that bell, let's feel the rhyme. Share our dreams and tell our fears. Gurl TauX, wiping all our tears.
Morning, y'all. It's 5 minutes and 30 seconds before Gurl TauX starts, so you have just enough time to grab yourself a cup of coffee and get in a comfy seat. We'll see you soon.
Catch Gurl TauX every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
Gurl TauX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. Gurl TauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Lights moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be mean. Upbeat chatter, it's our routine. Gurl TauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Gurl TauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Gurl TauX can be seen. Gurl TauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's Gurl TauX, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. Gurl TauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Gurl TauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Gurl TauX can be seen. Gurl TauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Gurl TauX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. Gurl TauX show is here to stay. Gurl TauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Walking down this road tonight, talking about the things we fight. Addiction knocking at my door. E&T wants so much more. We walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, together we'll move along. Searching for a brighter day, holding tight along the way. Sobriety's a steep climb, D&T winning every time. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along.
Apparently it muted us. My mouse is running around like a crazy person over here, and it wouldn't it was like when it does that, I'm like, did somebody get into my computer? Because that used to be the old way that, if your mouse was reacting bad, somebody had gotten a hold of your computer. Now I think it's just like glitchy. Sometimes the batteries are starting to go, so
I think so.
throws you a loop
Right.
for it. So anyway, good evening. Hello. How's everybody
Hello.
doing out there in YouTube land? We are here. We're here. We're not square. I don't know what that means. And my TV is trying to just freaking turn off. I didn't tell it to turn off. It just, technology. I love it and hate it at the same time. Like, what about you?
Yes.
Yeah, you just yes. Like, I don't need to add anything to that. Just yes.
It's
I mean,
it's
like-
one of the banes of my existence. It really is. But the more I tell people that, the more I'm finding that I'm not alone on that island. Like, there's a lot of folks that love technology when it works, but when it doesn't work, buddy.
Because I'm a techie person. I love tech stuff. I like the computers and the, like my house is freaking wired.
Right.
That.
Right.
Like my house is freaking wired. When my husband found out you could hook this to this, like when I come into the studio, I can't say the full words, but I can say blah, 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 turn on the studio, and it turns on my cameras, turns on my my camera switcher, turns on my computer, turns on my TV, turns on one of the cameras. I mean, like, it turns on lights. Like, he has it wired.
That's
So when
wild.
I'm done, it's also nice because I can just say blah blah
Mhm.
blah, turn off studio, and I only have to turn off one or two other things, and everything else just goes off. So I don't
That's
have to like
awesome.
do too much,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it can be annoying that everything's wired when it doesn't work.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
when there's
Yeah.
a problem. Now, most of our stuff, like even the plugs, it has a button on the side so you could turn on whatever's plugged into it.
Mhm.
So when everything doesn't work, it can also cause you like total mental distress.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it's not working, and it's more on the fact that if I think I've already done it and I haven't, I don't know what you're yelling at, dog. But if I think I've already done something and I haven't done it yet, then I get like all, oh crap, because I thought it was automatic. Like I thought it already did something. And if it didn't,
Yeah, there's no plan B,
yeah.
like, when that happens.
Yes.
So
You guys good?
I don't know. You're just do you want to join in the conversation?
No, I don't. I was just checking.
Do I look like I was gonna talk to you about anything?
It's not on vacation.
Do I
No.
look confused?
Sometimes.
No, that's all the time, baby. I don't know what you. Yeah, sorry, my husband was just standing over there, like staring at me, like
Yeah, I thought something was gonna
I thought maybe I owed him money. I thought there was a reason, and I was like, okay, can I help you? Is there something you needed? But he's like, no, there's nothing I needed. I don't know. He's funny, and I love him very much, but sometimes he doesn't want to interrupt. But just standing there staring at me, I'm like, okay, do you need something? So you interrupted anyway, and it would have just been easier to be like, do you need anything? I'm going upstairs, but I'm not I know I don't like disruptions in the aspect of like I don't want the doorbell ringing.
Right.
I have a sign on the door doing it says recording, has a microphone, do not disturb. That's on the door. But it's on the door so that people don't disturb. It's not on the door because because I just don't want people to knock on the door. I mean, I do technically have a secondary I do kind of have a secondary reason for that because my dogs have a have a conniption fit when there is a ding a ding a ding a dong dong on the door.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
my dogs have a conniption fit, and we've had a couple dog fights over it. So I will tell you, update with that is yesterday I was watching Dan Bongino on TV, and you know how he has that bell?
Mhm.
Like it's like the boxing bell is what it
Mhm.
actually is. But it kind of sounds to a dog like a door
Mhm.
knock
Mhm.
or a doorbell. And I know he does it, but he never does it at the exact same time. So I never know when it's going to happen. And I was like, oh crap. It went off. And both the dogs started barking. And I just
Wow.
said, it's okay. It's okay. It's just Dan Bongino. It's okay. It's okay. It's just Dan Bongino. And then I walked to the kitchen and got something and was just like, I ignored them and just told them it was okay. It was Dan Bongino. Don't worry about it. And I just ignored them. But I immediately got up and just walked into the kitchen calmly and just started getting something.
Mhm.
And Jethro went and put himself in the kennel.
Oh, good.
And he didn't bark like he does when it's because someone's at the door. until he was in his kennel. As soon as he was in his kennel, he started doing the intruder alert bark.
Oh, how funny.
So he has learned, doorbell goes off, mom's going to put me in the kennel, and then I can tell them I'm pissed off they're here. And I was so proud of him because she went into hers right after him, like, okay, the door, mom's going to go in. And there was nobody at the door. It was just,
Right.
but what he has learned is this habit when the doorbell does go off, when a delivery person comes to the house, I run and go put them in the kennel. So but we're very consistent about it. Like you've seen them. When we tell them go, they just run right into their kennel.
Yeah.
When we feed him, he runs right in there and sits down because he knows he doesn't get it unless they sit down. Now, Charlotte does like to do the start to sit down and never put the butt on the ground
Yeah.
because she fake sits like, I know I'm going to stand right back up. Why do I have to do this? But she is a service dog, so she's really smart. So she's like, oh. And if she doesn't go all the way down, she'll look at me like, really? Like, really?
Bloody human.
Yeah, you're stupid. Anyway, my name is Tori, and I'm the host of Gurl TauX. And we're not going to have, I just want to make this a little bit clear. Like we're going to have a plan. We've said this, we're going to have a plan, but we're not going to be like, we have to follow exactly to a T. We kind of rabbit hole around. But I want to stay on our topics, as we go. We do talk an awful lot about our mental health, sobriety issues, drugs, alcohol, addictions, mental health, but it's our take on our own perceptions, like what we see or what we deal with in our lives or what we're seeing out there in the public. Like we're talking about doing one where we kind of review some of the other things that we see out there, like The View, and do a review of The View or a rear view. Like we're looking at it from the back because you need to leave, but something like that. And our new segment, Dear Margaret, I think we're going to kind of starting our show after introductions with Dear Margaret, because some of the topics that we have can go into a longer discussion, and it can lead into a really good discussion about that aspect. Some might be really short, some might be like super quick and in and out and done.
Just by the couch. Just by the couch.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Okay. Next.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like
yeah. Just buy the fucking couch and let's you really wrote to us
you
about
really
that.
sent that in. Okay.
And I mean, I'm sure there are those moments that are like that, but there's some that are going to be a little deeper.
Yeah.
But we will give our viewpoint, and of course, if you're viewing and you have a viewpoint, please do share your viewpoint with us because we would love to hear your input as well. SA says, good evening, ladies. You need to put your middle initial in there. SA.
Say.
Just saying. Not really. You don't have to. You're fine.
Well,
So
what essay are you referring to?
my
Like
husband.
essay.
Yeah.
Like, orderly essay.
Yeah. Well, in that case, it's a little different. You did that very well, by the way. I do have to say, you
Well,
did that very well.
So, like, I grew up like close to Highland Park, out there in Los
You
Angeles.
You did. You grew up in
I did.
a place where
Heavily
a
Hispanic.
lot of Americans here would have in the South would have no clue. I mean, it was funny because
I missed it. I missed that barrio.
so I was talking.
I missed the barrio.
You missed the audio. So I was talking to someone in discussion today about a debate that we just recently had off camera about my using the word WHORE. Whore. A prostitute, whatever.
Whore.
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 How dare you?
Whoa, whore.
No whore. Stay away from me. But I was told basically that I was a pretty bad person because I even used the word at all, and said that I called someone that, even though I was referencing a direct quote from two different individuals at two totally different times. But she's like, is that person from the South? And I said, no. And she said, are you from the South? And I said, no. And she said, well, here in the South, you a whore. If you're whoring around, we're going to say whore. You're a whore. And I was like, okay. She goes, if you be whoring around, everybody going to know about it because we're going to tell everybody she's a whore. Bless her heart. And I said, do you really say the bless her heart? And she goes, not when we call him a whore. And I was kind of laughing about it because I was like, yeah, and it is different about where you come from. I mean, like where I come from, we call them hoochies. Okay. Out in California, Nevada, they're a hoochie. Yeah. They're a hoochie mama or a hoochie.
Yeah. Or a slut.
Yeah. Like,
or
just depends.
I'm really trying to think back of what we used to say.
So I'm going to tell you,
wasn't really.
It wasn't a word. Like I didn't really use that word.
My older relatives would say it, and they would like whisper it. Like, now like she's a whore, and because saying it in a whisper doesn't make it sound so bad.
My grandmother used to say she's a mattress.
That's what you should have done. You should have whispered.
My grandma called him a mattress bag. Don't be a mattress bag.
Cum dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of words you can use for it.
But yeah, whore wasn't really
it wasn't a common
slang
now
word.
Coming from Nevada where we lived, you didn't really even like my son wouldn't call a girl that in any way because I'd have knocked his teeth in or something. But when he would come home from school, I'd be like, how was your school today? And he's like, it was pretty good at the Mustang Bunny Ranch training camp. And so where we lived, we only lived like 5 miles from the Bunny Ranch.
Oh, okay.
We lived like an hour from the Mustang Ranch because you had to go over the hill and around the other side. But we only lived like maybe 10 minutes from the Bunny Ranch. Okay. So yeah, he quite often called it the Bunny Ranch training camp. That was his school. And this was elementary, junior high school. And he would call them the Bunny Ranch training camp. Oh my gosh. And if that told you anything, at that age, what they dressed like, didn't act like. And I said, why do you know that? And he goes, well, we all know that. Like, don't pretend that we don't know stuff. And then of course I would go sit him down. Let's have a talk about this. Let's, how do we treat women and how do we treat girls? And, I would never tolerate my sons disrespecting women. Sure. And I think that's the difference in parenting is you teach your children, males, to respect women. Teach them to respect women, and then they will respect women. For you parents, I shouldn't say you, but for parents that have girls, teach your girls to have self-respect. Teach girls to have morals and values. And part of the things of teaching that is not teaching them that sex with the mouth is not sex. That you can do this and this and this, but don't do this. Teach them to have some of their own virtue and self-respect and value. And when my son got older in high school and stuff, and he had girls come over because he had friends come over all the time. Like they didn't stay the night and stuff, but he would have girls come over and a girl that would come over because they're going to hang out or whatever. And I would literally ask what day of the week she was. Like, are you Tuesday or Wednesday? Because he did not date long term with really anybody, but he also didn't use and throw them away or anything. But he just, if it didn't click, it didn't click. He didn't like become girlfriend and boyfriend because you went out on a date. You know, like we ain't getting married yet. So you don't have ownership and I don't have ownership, any of that stuff.
Right.
So, you know, I do very much believe in not necessarily having ownership over people. Like you know, we're together now. So you can no, like you're in high school. You have some growing up to do, you have some learning to do, that kind of thing. So, anyway, I hope this works. I'm going to try it. People can hear it.
You get upset for the rest, Margaret. You think you need to speak up for everyone else, but we can speak for ourselves. So it's time to give it a rest, Margaret. Virtue signals are flying high, but it's time to go, so goodbye. I don't really care, Margaret. Your outrage won't make me regret. Stop policing what I say and do. I don't really care, Margaret. You act like the world's on fire. Reactions always going higher, but I won't bend or break my spine. Margaret, you're just a wasted time. I don't really care, Margaret. Your outrage won't make me regret. Stop policing what I say and do. I don't really care, Margaret.
Okay, so that is the beginning of our intro to Dear Margaret. And I am putting a video together with that, and it's almost done. I worked really hard on it today, but I didn't get it finished. So the video has video of JD Vance's interview with Margaret and a couple clips. You can hear him in the background behind the song saying, I don't really care, Margaret. I don't really care, Margaret.
Yay.
But it's taking a lot of editing and a lot of work to get it to flow. So it'll be done. Hopefully I'll have it done tomorrow and then we'll just play that video. But I'm breaking it up into 2 segments because the song I wrote is 3 minutes long and I don't want to do a whole 3 minutes before. So I'm going to split that in 2. So we have half of it at the beginning and half of it at the end. So we're going to do Dear Margaret. And we're going to start with our first question for Margaret. And let's see. Here we go. And let's see if my actual controller works. We'll see. I hope so. I do have to put it on this other camera. Hopefully. Oh, the camera does work. Woohoo! That's a good thing. Okay. Dear Margaret, I have been married for a few years. We haven't made it to the 5-year mark yet. I love him very much, and I want to make my marriage work. My family says I need to leave, and my kids are grown, but won't come around if he is here. I know he has a drinking problem, and when he is over drinks, he has become aggressive, violent even. Right now, he's in jail, and I am trying to get him into a rehab. He doesn't work. And I support the household, so rehab would have to be covered by me and my insurance. Wow. All my friends and family say I need to get a divorce and not let him back in. But I do love him so much, and when he is good, he is great. and I don't want to give up on him. My head says go, but my heart says stay. What should I do? Signed, Conflicted. Wow, that one's pretty deep,
Yeah, wow.
I would say, to start with. Now this I put a question out to some of the groups I belong to that I was going to start doing this Dear Margaret segment on our show. So this was one of the questions given to me. So when we do these Dear Margaret ones, I just want to clarify with anybody, this is like a Dear Abby from back in the day. So we're not going to, even if we do know you or know who you are, one, in your question, don't give us too much detail to give your name or where you live or any of that stuff, because we won't share that. We won't share anything about you if we directly know you that's not in the question. We will only read the question. But we will talk about it based on what your question has. And if we have more questions, we might ask. And if you hear it, send in more questions. So for anyone else out there that wants to submit a question, you can submit it to us, and you can do it on Gurl TauX. We have a Gurl TauX page. We have a Gurl TauX Facebook group. And of course, you can email it to us at tori@gurltaux.com. So there you go. So based on this question, wow, that was kind of loaded. I get the conflict of being married. You took a vow, but they, one, haven't made it to 5 years. So I don't know what that means. Have they been married a year and you don't want to quite say it's only been a year, or have you been married for 4.5 years? But I have some limits, like you said, he got violent. There's some really red flags: violent, drinking, abuse. I would absolutely say you need to run. Like, you shouldn't be picking up for them. And what I mean by that is, or taking up for them, some people call it, when they're good, you're telling everybody, but he's trying, he's doing all this, he's great. You're taking up for him. You're sticking up for him. What you're really doing is following behind him with a bag, picking up all his shit, and you're putting it in a bag with a pretty bow. And then you're saving it. What it is shit. It's still shit, and at some point, those bags are going to get so heavy that you can't carry them anymore. That's my opinion. What's your take on it?
Well, I'm just thinking about it. The things that jumped out at me was, of course, the having a drinking problem, and there was no mention of why they're incarcerated, but
Probably for domestic violence.
But addiction leads to jails, institutions, or death. And so, I mean, he's in one of those places. She's talking about having him head to another place. And unless he's ready himself to take those paths, death will be the next place that he ends up. And so,
or you,
or yeah. So if I also look at it too as a return on your investment. So how much are you gonna invest into a situation when by investment I mean she had mentioned financially. She's already investing herself by working
and she's paying for everything.
And so there's a financial investment. There's also an emotional investment. There's a mental investment. There's a spiritual investment. And you can't pour from an empty cup. And so all those investments that she's making are not having, like, even currently, there's no return.
There's zero return.
So
the return is bags of poop.
Right.
Bags of
and
shit.
So, like, what is your, you can love somebody deeply, but that doesn't mean you sacrifice your own self.
Well,
to you have to love yourself more so that you can in turn give that love to somebody else. And I don't mean I love myself, but it's you can't pour from an empty cup. That's why in an airplane you put your mask on first before you help somebody else. I mean, it's like so
Right.
basic, but it applies to everything. If you don't have it to give, you can't.
Right.
But you also have to look at, are you with somebody who is going to do nothing but take from you until you have no more to give
Well, and I
without
also
reciprocating?
read in those lines there that she's already kind of alienated, or he has alienated herself from her family.
From her family,
Because
right.
her family is not wanting him around.
Mhm.
Her children are not wanting him around.
Mhm.
You know, they haven't
So
totally
these are already her
abandoned her.
returns on her investment.
Right. So she's losing more and more. And at some point, they're going to say, we're done with you completely because you keep picking him over us.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, definitely, it's a very concerning situation
It is.
because you're battling between your head and your heart. And I think you hit a nail on the head, though. What is your investment? You know, what is your return on your investment? You're investing all this time and energy, love, finances, your home, your family. You're sacrificing so much for him. What is he
Mhm.
sacrificing for you?
Right.
Anything at this point, I don't hear any
None,
sacrifice that
really.
he's making, except for when he's sober. And to be honest with you, I am going to say, is it okay if I talk a little bit about my own history on this? Okay. So I've been through this. I don't like to call myself a victim. I was a victor. I was victorious over domestic violence. So I went through domestic violence many, 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 many years ago. I get this because I was married to a horrible human being, and he was abusive. He was not an alcoholic, but he was secretly doing drugs. Thanks for chewing on your toy and making noise. If you hear that, that's my dog chewing on his toy. Can you maybe not?
It's an odd sound.
But he was all of those things. He didn't work. But on top of not working, like I didn't know he didn't work. He was pretending to go to work, getting himself dirty and coming back to the house and like acting like he just got home all dirty from work. And then it would be a different excuse after different excuse of why he didn't get his paycheck until the gig was up when I went to his work and said, you can't keep not paying him. And they're like, what are you talking about? He doesn't work here. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I don't know that my piece of shit was worse than her piece of shit. I did not last very long with him. We were not together very long, but it was long enough for me to go through some abuse. And I became a cop right after that. And I have a book that I want to work on called Battered to Blue, and it's not the blue bruises, but it was battered into the blue uniform. Because I got to know the cops. They came around all the time. We got to be like besties and shit. and
I like you guys so much. I decided to come to work with you.
Actually, one of the cops that came all the time,
no.
he was like,
How
he literally
funny.
said to me one day, he goes, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you call us, we come. He goes to jail, he gets out. Now, at the time, there wasn't really, the rules in Arizona changed during that time frame where they no longer had to have your permission to prosecute. So like
okay.
I had
Gotcha.
to be the one prosecuting back then. And of course I was some stupid woman. And I'm like, don't take him to jail. like I'm a fucking idiot. But I mean, we've all been idiots before.
Yeah.
So I understand what she's talking about, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm way old now, so don't. But the sex was amazing. It was. But that's definitely not a reason to stick with somebody because and I wouldn't say it was the best in the world. Oh my God, I'm not going to insult anyone else, but it was. And I would forget the shit he did because he was really good at the wooing.
Mm.
He was really good at the apology tour. And by that, I mean, he was really good at the apology tour of making me feel better, but also making me feel like the cause, making me feel like it was my fault. I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't said this or you hadn't. And they get into your psyche and make you feel like, well, I said that, or I did, you start telling yourself that, it would be better if you just stopped doing the things that bothered them. And, if you remember the movie Sleeping with the Enemy, he wouldn't hit her anymore if she would just make sure that the cans were straight. Or if the towels were perfectly straight in the back. Bullshit. It doesn't matter what you do because you're not the problem. You're not the one causing it. You're causing it to yourself by staying, but you're not causing it. So I would say conflicted, you need to try to not be conflicted and just say, think about how much shit with bows you want to carry around, and
because, well, and also too, like, I don't know how old this person is, but if they have children that are older or whatever, so I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that this person is possibly an older person. And I know being an older person with grown kids, the last thing I would want to be doing is be involved in. Now that's like if I wasn't married and I was single or, whatever. If someone else came into my life and they had displayed any of those things, like, I don't have time.
right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I'm at an older
over
stage.
2/3 of the way through my life, so I'm not going to spend the last third like dealing with somebody else's baggage.
You are right.
Because there comes a point in time when you really have to say, like, enough is enough, and I have to take care of myself.
Yeah, you have to put yourself first.
Yes.
And even for your kids, like you can't put your kids first. And I've said this before when talking to people about relationships and family. There's like a tier of importance. God should be at the head of your household, in my opinion. But then you should be second. Like you really should take care of yourself. Then you should take care of your spouse. And then you should take care of your kids. Because if you take care of yourself and your husband takes care of you and you take care of him, you're going to be helping each other and you will be better parents because you will both be there for your parents. Now, a lot of this is my talking and your talking is with age comes wisdom.
Yes.
Because this is not the 20-some-year-old that was with that piece of shit I was with carrying his shit and putting it in bags. This is not the same person. It's with age comes wisdom. Like if I was single and I met a guy and he overdrank probably more than like 3 times, I would be like, bye. Because I would have the red flags already.
Yeah.
Like I almost have a red flag checklist with friends and everything now. Like I start checking off the red flag boxes.
So
and
true.
when you get to there's like the one that turns into Black Flag. When it starts turning into Black Flags, I'm like, yeah, I think this is not going to work out as a friendship or whatever it is,
Right.
because I have my own values and my own morals, and I am a good person, but I'm not going to be stepped on, walked on, and marched all over because I'm a good person. That makes me a doormat.
Right.
So don't be a doormat to your significant other either, because that means you're definitely not taking care of yourself. And then really what you're doing is probably doing nothing but taking care of him, taking care of him, taking care of him, because you're wanting to make him happy. You're wanting to make him feel good. You're wanting him to love you. You want him to keep loving you. You want to keep that good one. When he's good, he's great. You want to keep that
Yes.
one as happy as you can so that the other one doesn't come out. And what you end up doing is you're overcompensating, 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 trying so hard that you forgot to take care of you. And then you get to a point where you forgot who you are. And then you get to a point that you have no friends. And then you get to a point where you have no family, because you have now abandoned everything and they have abandoned you, because 100% of your effort is into this pile of shit. And they can't even get in to help you anymore, because all those bags with the pretty bows on them are all stacked up in the doorway and in the hallway, and they've consumed your whole existence that they can't even get in anymore. They can't get through you anymore. I don't know if that's a good analogy or what, but it's what I came up with, and I was like, that's what it. When I look back, it's what it felt like. Like I was just scooping it up, but I put a pretty bow on it because, like, I'm going to take up for him. He's a great guy. I know he wasn't. He was a piece of shit from day one.
In dog grooming, I have this thing where this is so bad. So when you said put a pretty bow on it, the only time I'll put a bandana, or not that I'll put a bandana because I don't use bandanas, but the only reason the groomers put bandanas on is to distract from the shitty haircut.
I put that hair up and put the little bow on so you don't see the hair is like.
But you can make bandanas hang down pretty low.
yeah, I don't see any of that. By the time you take that bandana off, their hair's growing out just a little bit because you can't see that. Oh shit!
Putting lipstick on a pig, there's still a pig.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
It's and it's with age comes cynicism as well, right? So I'm like, girl, you ain't got time for that mess. Like, you got less than 5 years invested. Chalk that shit up as a fucking bad decision and get back with your people
and move on.
Yeah, get back with your tribe and move on, and maybe look at that as because people like that, addicts, I don't want to say people like that. Those type of people.
People.
And this is something that I've never touched on with you, but I'm a recovering addict. So I've got 27 years.
Yeah, I think you have mentioned it to me.
And
we've
I may
talked
have
about
in
briefly.
the beginning. And so, but I also am of the belief that you can recover.
Right.
You're not always in recovery. 12-step programs want you to stay in recovery all the time. You're always this, you're always an addict, you're always, and I just don't believe that. And so, but with that being said, addicts their only goal in life is to feel good. And they have found the easiest way to feel good is to use, whether that's drugs, alcohol, money, sex, people, whatever. And they'll drain it until it's dry, and then they'll move on to the next supply. So when you're an older person, I guess not even when you're an older person, you can't change somebody that doesn't want to change. or that doesn't
That's true.
see.
They have to want. I mean,
They
it's
are the ones that have. So she, she said, I'm trying to get him into rehab. Well,
does he want to go
is
into rehab?
or is this what he's telling you because he's sitting in the clink right now, missing home and missing
Oh yeah, because
freedom?
they all see the light when they're in the
Always,
clink.
like
They're like,
15
"I see
minutes.
the light."
Praise Jesus! I've been saved. The Holy Spirit touched me.
They do.
They do.
And
And-
I said it when one of the times that my husband got out of jail.
Did he ask you to go to church right away?
He did. He
confession?
asked me to go to. Well, this was before he got
No.
out. I want to go to church when I get it, and I've seen the light, and I've, I read my Bible, and I'm going to church and jail, and da 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 da. And I think he was only in there for like 2.5 months or something like that.
Oh,
Something. It
okay.
wasn't like a super long time.
Right.
Then he got out, and it wasn't that long before he was back in jail. But anyway, I went to, I can't remember who it was. I went to a friend and I was like, so I'm curious now. Like, they see the light when they're in jail. Like, they see the error of their ways. They see the light. They come to Jesus. Who exactly is it that blows the light out as soon as they get out? Because somebody comes up and goes,
Yeah.
it's gone, because they go right back to the bullshit that they were doing before.
They
So,
do.
like, I want to know
Yes.
who is it that blows that light out. And it's not because anyone blows the light out, and it's not because they found the light. It's because while they were in jail, they were sad, they were lonely, they were locked up, they were stuck.
Mhm.
It was your fault.
Mhm.
And now I got to know what I need to say for you to help get
Mhm.
me out of here.
Mhm.
Because the only way I'm getting out is if you talk to the DA,
Yep.
if you talk to the judge, if
Yeah.
you tell him you're getting me into rehab.
Yeah.
You're my ticket out of here.
Right.
So, and I know you love God, so I'm going to love God
I'm
too.
gonna love God too, as much as I need to.
Yeah, I'm going to do whatever it is
And that's
that
true.
I need to do.
Mhm.
So I think based on that, you have to think the whole picture through.
Mhm.
And it's not it's not black and white, and it's not cut and dry,
Mhm.
but to be honest with you, the time frame that she gave, I wouldn't care if she said we've been married for 50 years.
Mm.
I'd be like, you know what? I'm sorry you've invested 50 years of your life into this person, but he's a piece of shit. Like, he's probably been doing this to you for 48 of those years.
Right. Yes. Yes. And if it was somebody older, I see, and that's the thing. Like, if it was a 50-year, then I'd be like,
Right, you start
like,
you start thinking, oh, you've got all this time invested, but what?
but then if you throw abuse in there and things, it's like, well,
He's
he has
probably
been beating your ass for 48 years.
he's probably been doing this to you for that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
So you don't know what to do now.
Mhm.
You've been taking it for so long, and I would take that as almost like, okay, and now the kids are gone.
Mhm.
I stayed. Now I'm stuck. What if that person, their fear is being, I mean, now granted, hers was she's the breadwinner, but a lot of times they're afraid of having to do it all on their own. Can you just fix that camera over there so we are both in the screen and like not the bunch of the back of my thing? Thank you. That's what I
Oh.
needed. You're amazing. Thank
Wow.
you. But that's what I was thinking. Now I'm not sure, but Tim wrote, I pictured a black Kramer picking flowers.
So he wrote that back when you were
Maybe
playing this song.
maybe that was from the song. He
So
pictured that. Okay, but then he says, she should bake him cookies. They go great with rum. And then he says, if he's getting wasted and abusing her, abusing her at all. He doesn't love her. He loves the idea of her. Yeah, or someone.
Yeah, someone.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes, and I think that goes equally on the person taking the abuse. Like you're afraid to be alone, so you'd rather take it
Mhm,
than be alone.
mhm,
You're willing to take the bags of shit
mhm.
because you're afraid of being alone. You're afraid of the loneliness that you could have. But at the same time, you need to be open to the possibility of there's somebody better out there that you're not going to find when your whole world is piled full of bags of shit.
Exactly.
My husband is giving me looks over here. So then Tim says, let's see what this one says. A wise woman told me long ago there has to be 4 connections: spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. And I absolutely agree with that. I don't know who that wise woman was. I don't know. Do that one again. I don't know who that wise woman was. Yeah, exactly. But that is so true. Like you have to have those connections. If you only have one, like
One or
there's so
two.
I will say, you know,
Well, like you said, the sex was great.
the
So
sex was
that-
great.
that was your
great
physical connection was strong.
amazing.
But the other 3 were
Were
shit.
garbage.
So
So
it wasn't enough to sustain
no.
the relationship. You have to have
No,
all
when you
4
get
of
to my
those.
age and you got menopause and you got dry vag and you got painful sex and you got leaky bladder
and you got a busted hip,
you got
so
a
you
busted
can't
hip
move your
and you
leg
got-
around right, so you
know,
can't even do it.
they better fucking love you way beyond the physical.
No shit.
Because there's a whole lot more to it than just the physical.
Yes.
And you know, and I think it goes into all those things. If you don't have all of those, they can't sustain each other.
Mhm.
But if one is faulty, the other 3 can hold
Mhm,
that 4th one together.
mhm.
Because when you have like maybe limitations, you can have intimate connections without the one thing that might be more important.
Mhm.
But you
Exactly.
can find ways of intimacy and connecting physically
Mhm.
without sometimes the other parts of it, especially if there's a medical reason that something is in the way. And that can go
Mhm.
for them as well as him or her.
Mhm.
You know, it's not just a one size fits all.
Right.
So you have to have more in order for it to have long-term sustainability.
Mhm.
It's not going to last if you only have one
It
of those
won't.
4. And it doesn't matter if any of the 4.
No,
Like
it
if you
doesn't.
have a really great spiritual connection with somebody,
It doesn't.
but you
yeah,
don't like,
That's not
but
enough.
the idea of having sex with them makes me want to vomit.
Right.
Like, probably not a good connection there.
Exactly.
My husband's just going to sit here and are you're waiting for, well,
Oh.
I'm not ready for the next comment,
Question?
but okay.
Oh,
I guess
oh.
I guess I have to go to the next comment because he's like, I want you to
Next.
answer the next comment. So let's see. If they lost it all in less than 5 years, they won't make it to 20. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Like you have
Mhm.
to have those 4 pillars.
Mhm.
And
As a foundation.
that's your foundation of your house.
Yeah.
And if one of those pillars goes out, the other 3 can hold up the house while you repair
While you
the
repair that
the
one.
one.
Mhm.
But you can't repair the one if you don't even have the other 3.
Right.
Like that's just a crumbling house of cards right there.
Yeah.
That house was built by one of the 3 pigs.
So, honey, basically, you've built your foundation with reclaimed barn wood that was found after a massive tornado that blew through. So you need to just
and you nailed
just
it
torch
together.
that
with-
shit
You nailed it
and move
together
on.
with cow mud or
duct tape,
no,
duct tape,
that
bungee
shit that you collected in
Oh
the
yes, you
bags.
made shit clay.
That'll hold that shit together. That's got long sustainability, let me tell you. That'll go on for days.
Oh,
Okay, so
man.
and then SA says,
Orderly.
oh, he wants to clarify, not the current husband, by the way. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. That's all he was standing for, is to make sure that I said not the current husband. No, it was. Let me clarify something. Not only was it not the current husband,
Bye.
but the current husband we have all four of those. We have those pillars. We built those together. We built our foundation together, and we have sustainability because of that. We have trust. We encourage each other. We build each other up, and we have a rule that because we both have moments, that we get down. But we have a standing rule, and it was an unspoken rule, but we have, over time we have spoken it. But our unspoken rule is you can't come down when I'm down. You cannot come down with me when I'm down. You have to come and pick me up and pull me up, because if you come down with me, we'll drown. And so if but we've made that transition to the communication, because I'm great with communication. He was shit with communication. But we built that communication up, and I built that up with him with trust, because he had to learn to trust me that I'm not going to be upset with him for communicating, having a feeling, being hurt, being upset with something I said or did. I can accept my flaws from you. You are the one that can correct me. You are the one that can set me straight. You are the one I can be the most vulnerable with. I know this is not like the way to get that topic in, but you think about it on the perspective of couples. And I hear it all the time with couples, especially younger couples. Oh my God, you guys poop or shit or pee in the same bathroom with each other. And I'm like, well, you're going to do well when you get into your geriatric days. When you're in your golden years,
yeah,
you're going to have a difficult time with that. Like, you have to love and trust them so much that if they're taking a shit in the bathroom and you have to walk in. Now, I will say, I'm sorry, do you mind if I come in? I got to brush my hair. I'm leaving or whatever. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to interrupt your privacy. But at the same time, like, I don't know that we ever shut the bathroom door. The only time the bathroom door is shut when I have my dog in there, and I absolutely don't want his dog coming in because, or his dog in, because if I'm doing something with her teeth, brushing her teeth or his teeth or doing anything with them, the other one gets really like, what are you doing to my dog? I got to protect him. So they freak out. So we shut the door when we're doing something that could turn into a violent blow with our dogs. But if you're not comfortable enough and you don't trust them enough, you're going to get to a stage in your life where you need them to help you with certain things. And it could even be next week when they're in a car accident.
Yes.
And you have to help them go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And you have to help them wipe their butt. Now, granted, I would say my advice to you is go out and invest in a bidet. But there's a lot of things that you have to think about. And if you can't make it past, one thing at all, and you have no pillars, you have no foundation, you have no ground strength, you're probably not going to make it to the next year. And when it comes to violence, you are playing Russian roulette with your own life, because in my experience, in law enforcement, as well as my own personal experience, it only escalates. They get bolder and
Mhm.
bolder and stronger and stronger. And the more you let it, the bigger and bolder and tougher they get. And the more control they have over you. So the more they're willing to do or allow, and the
Mhm.
more you're allowing to happen.
That bar is getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. It starts here,
Yeah.
but then once something happens and it pushes that bar back a little bit,
And he's
because
like,
you're
oh, look.
yeah, because it's like, oh, that was easy. All I had to do was say sorry and hug her for a while and da da da.
And she was on her
And
knees.
yeah, yeah, 5 minutes flat. Let's make it 4 next time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
like
pushing that bar back until there's no bar left. There's no boundary. So then that's
it's like
when,
a temper tantrum toddler.
yes, and they just will kill you. I mean, you know, or not will, but I mean, it could lead to that eventually, because last time he hit me 3 times, or the first time he hit me 3 times, the next time it was 6, the next time it was 9.
The next time it was a
with
boot
a
on my
closed fist.
Yeah.
The next time
Was a
he
boot on
picked
my
up,
neck.
yes, and picked up something and struck me with, you know, like
Right.
it does. It gets worse.
It wasn't just a push or a slap. That was just the first, you know,
and it could go from like you completely like failed and did some, not that it's an excusable excuse, but like it starts out with, you made a really big mistake. Something major happened.
Mhm.
But it eventually becomes,
everything was a mistake of your own.
you sighed the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You went,
You looked at me cross-eyed.
and that's it. That's enough to get your ass beat,
Yeah.
because it has been brought to that
that degree.
And so it works from both sides like that, I think.
Yeah, the escalation is something you have to think about.
Yeah.
So I would say, at least my opinion from this side of it is, you need to throw out all those bags of shit
Yeah.
with his stuff.
Yeah.
And you need to file for divorce. And if he's still in jail, you can get an order of protection, and you can actually have your divorce going through the court system before he ever even gets out. And don't take up for him in court. That is the biggest thing I would say. Don't offer to pay for rehab or do rehab, or present that to them that you're going to help him with rehab. Don't give any out, because maybe if he's been to jail more than once, and if it's for domestic violence, there's a chance that the judge could be like, you're doing a couple years. So, and by all means, and I'm telling you from experience, by all means, do not stay with this person through jail, because everything he tells you while he's in jail is bullshit. It is 100% grade A choice beef bullshit. It is grade A cow pie. That is what it is. It is not worth its weight in anything. Like, you cannot exchange that for food. Nothing. So we're going to end with that one on that topic. And then
Okay.
we're going to go to the next one. Hopefully the next one's not as it's probably just deep, I don't know. But like I said, all of these were sent to me. So we will oh yeah, he said that was during the song. And then the next one was LOLOL. I got to start making these guys we got to start reading them, I guess, as they're coming in. I don't know. Let's see, what does he say? Used to make her leave the room when I was dropping a deuce. Well, I tried. She said I'd get over it. It's true though. Like, I think when we first got together, you know, my husband was much more uncomfortable with it than me. And I think it's
Same.
because men stand to pee, and it's a little more awkward for them when they're pooping. We have to sit for everything, so I don't give a shit. You don't know if I'm shitting or peeing because I have to sit every time. If your husband's sitting, you already know what he's doing. Like,
for sure.
he can walk in while you're sitting there and he wouldn't know unless he hears a plop plop fizz fizz.
Right.
He's not going to know what's actually happening. So I
That's true.
agree with that. And then and then he said grass fed even. Yeah, grass fed
fed bullshit.
grass fed prime bullshit. But it's still bullshit. All right. So our next one here is Dear Margaret, I am a Trump supporter. I voted for Trump and I like what I see happening. I don't say anything when my family or friends talk bad about him or Trump supporters because I don't want to cause a conflict and I don't want to risk losing my friends or family. What should I do? Signed, Closeted Trumper. Okay, that one's an interesting one. Well, first of all, I have come to the conclusion that there are 3 tiers when it comes to, or 4 tiers technically, when it comes to the political and voting in this current climate that we're in now. And that is staunch liberal Democrat, Trump voter, Trump supporter, and MAGA. Someone who is MAGA is not just a Trump supporter or just a Trump voter. They are full on. They watch the citizen journalists that have shows on YouTube. They probably have Rumble. They probably have Blaze TV. They probably have Daily Wire. They're probably watching Megyn Kelly, David Harris Jr.
Right. Yeah.
They know all the same names.
Right.
Then you have the Trump supporter who knows maybe a couple of them. They know the bigger ones like Tucker Carlson and they might know Dan Bongino or they might know a couple of the bigger names, might know Megyn Kelly and might watch some of it. And they support him, but they'll be a Trump supporter will admit they're a Trump supporter around other Trump supporters.
Oh, right. Okay.
Trump voter doesn't want them to know anything. They're secretly voted for him. I wouldn't even consider that a Trump supporter because they won't even admit it to anyone that's even a Trump supporter. They are closeted all the way. They don't want to cause a rift. They don't want to rock the boat. And especially if they're in a family that is not Trump supporters or whatever. So they just keep it completely quiet. And they secretly went into the booth and they probably never discuss it at all. If it comes up, they just change the subject. They change the news channel. They don't want to talk about it at all because they don't want to out themselves.
Right.
I mean, it's the new gay in the closet. It really is. But a Trump supporter will be open and fiercely Trump supporter only with other Trump people.
Gotcha. Yes.
A MAGA person is like, I'm fucking MAGA whether you're a Trump supporter or not a Trump supporter.
Right.
I've found that at least in my experience, and I'm very MAGA. I am all the way in. I'm deep MAGA. I'm not dark MAGA. I'm deep MAGA. But I've been a part of this community. I owned MAGA Network. I own MAGA One Radio. I'm deeply embedded. I know all the big players personally, some of them. Like I know David Harris Jr. Haven't seen him in a long time. Have some of these people's phone numbers. So when you're deep, I don't care who knows. But I do have enough respect. Like I have family that does not. And I really just don't talk about it to them specifically. And I don't rub their nose in things. But if a conversation comes up, like for example, my mother-in-law is not a Trump supporter. She does not care for him. and that's her right to feel that way. I love her. She loves me. We just don't talk politics. I'm not going to change her mind. She's not going to change my mind. So there's no reason to get into a disagreement over it. However, if she's in my presence, I won't avoid the conversation with someone else because I am a Trump supporter and I am a MAGA person. So, I was in Florida with her just recently when we went to go on our cruise, and we were in this really cool restaurant there she took me to. And there was a couple that we sat at the bar over here and they sat over here. And I had my MAGA hat on, or I had my veteran hat on. I don't remember, but I think I had my MAGA hat on. And the guy was like, "Oh, okay." And the wife told him, "Oh, don't talk politics." And him and I just started talking politics. We started talking about Trump and the election and stuff. And my mother-in-law and his wife just started talking about their families and stuff, and they let us be who we are. I wasn't worried about offending her. She already knows my stance. I'm not going to then go, "See?" you know. I hope that people will start seeing that he really is for the country, but I think that's the difference. So I think at this point, and I'm doing all the talking, so you can chime in anytime. Just tell me to shut up. But I think you have to take a stance or choose your decision, choose your poison, choose to stay in the closet.
Well, I mean, if you're,
Are you wanting to come out of the closet?
well, I mean, I see. So not everybody, I guess, not everybody is committed. Like I personally like really wish that there would be another hot topic at this point. Well, like beside politics, as far as like what everybody
Right.
all day long is focused on.
Right.
And I don't like, I do think back 12, 15, 20 years ago, like politics weren't such a thing that inundated.
Actually, nobody paid attention to it.
No, they really didn't. Like we voted, leading up to the election, it was, pretty intense, whatever. But now it's like
It wasn't even like this during
people are
Vietnam.
so extreme in their views that some people that just really kind of, I mean, because not everybody is really obliged to be on one side of that. Like you're not obliged, really. You live here, you want to get involved, get involved. If you don't, you don't. If you want to vote and you don't want to talk about it, that's definitely your right.
Yeah,
Like,
I
back
think
in
you
the
can
day,
stay that way.
you didn't talk about who you voted for. That
Nobody
was a
asked
very
either.
private thing.
And
You
nobody
went in and you
asked.
did your polling booth. They had curtains. You closed the curtains. Now you just go sit in a folding chair and you
Next
vote.
to 14
Yeah,
other people.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then and
it was disrespectful to ask them
it was
too.
yes. And
Like-
so it was just a common decency that you respected other people's rights to vote
And the
give their
results were whatever
opinion.
the results were.
Yes. But now it has become such a social focal point that situations like this, like how sad is that
Mhm.
you feel like you have this wedge now of something that really, yes, it affects us, but like Logan and I have talked about this before, that if you don't pay attention to it, and I mean don't pay attention to it, like for days and weeks on end,
Yeah.
your life goes on the same way
Mhm.
it would have
Mhm.
if you would have been focused on all this stuff. Whatever's happening in Washington's going to happen, whether we know about it, discuss it, fight about it, it's going to happen. And
Right.
this is what Doge is proving. It's
Right,
going to
right,
happen.
right.
even though we're aware of what's been happening, we still are not going to make changes. We
Right.
put people
Unless
there
you
to
get
make
in a
the
position to
changes.
make change, you're not going to
You're
make
not
change.
really.
And your
So-
discussions with your family or in your household is not going to make the change either.
Right.
You know?
So with your family, your friends, your circle of people, maybe lay those swords down. Like
That, yeah.
collectively decide that, hey, you know what? This just isn't a good, healthy, non-toxic thing that we should have
Well-
among us. Let's focus on what we all do love to do together or talk about
I think
together.
that's what you could do is you could just say like, hey, you know, can we just not talk about politics?
Yeah.
And they don't know where your stance is with that.
Right.
But just like make a stance, right? You know, if they're all coming over for dinner or something, just
Mhm.
say like, hey, no politics tonight.
Mhm.
Or now what I will say though, along with that is, are you secretly, when you say closeted Trumper, are you secretly sitting in a closet watching Megyn Kelly, watching Dan Bongino? Are you in there with your headphones so that nobody can know you're and you're glued to it? You know, if that's what you're doing, you are setting yourself up for that mental break.
Yes.
That mental problem that you're going to
Yes.
have of anxiety. Now you're going to be anxious. Did anybody see that I had that on? Did anybody accidentally go to my YouTube channel and look at my history and see that, you know, she was trying to look for the chicken show we watched the other day, and then she's going to find this Trump show. You know, like, are you that closeted, or are you like, you just really supported him and you voted for him and you really don't talk about it? Because then maybe that's a different stance you have to make. And maybe you have to take that moment, like you said, and for yourself, put that stuff down and stop watching it yourself for a while and see if and you know, you could even say that like with your friends and family, if they came over, you could say, you know what, I've kind of stepped away from watching all of that because it's so hyperbolic. It's so
It's just
triggering.
not, and
It's so toxic. I just want to step away from that topic and I want to keep it out of my house for a while. And you have the see, and that's the difference I think between Trump supporters and a staunch, crazy liberal person and crazy right people too. Like, I feel you have the right to stay closeted if you want to. I don't feel because I'm MAGA, you have to come out that same way. You don't have to be at the same level that I am because I am. And I'm not going to love you or like you or disrespect you or respect you any different if you just, I voted for him. I like what he's doing, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to defend. I don't want to get into debates. I don't care. You know, like, I'm a different breed. I'm a different animal. I was raised in a very political household. My parents were diplomats. My dad was very politically charged. We had great political debates. My brother and I have good political debates. And when I was a journalist, I was a political journalist. I covered politics for 8 years as a journalist. So I get very vested in politics. But that's me. My husband is not that way. You know, and we don't, I mean, basically I give him the weekly rundown. My mom says, I get my news from you. What's new? You know what? Tell me what's going on. So you don't have to, just be true to yourself. That's the main thing I would say. Just be true to yourself and don't allow it to be a wedge. Don't allow it to be a hole in your boat and you're trying to dump out the water. Plug the hole up. And if you have to plug the hole up with YouTube, you know, whatever it is, if you have to plug the hole up by not watching those things so that you don't feel a certain way, and asking people, and it's respectful to it. I don't think it's disrespectful to say, hey, we're not going to talk politics at my house. I just don't want to hear it.
Absolutely not. It's
I'm tired of hearing it.
It's the same thing as telling people who smoke, don't smoke in my house.
Right.
I mean, it's no different.
It shouldn't be. It absolutely shouldn't
not.
be. Yeah.
It's not.
Well, it's not.
You're putting
right.
your rules down of your house.
Right. It's not.
It's no
But
different.
there are people out there that think
Well, if you
they
lit
have-
up a cigarette
then
in my
go the
house when
fuck
you're not,
away.
then you're fucking out of there.
you're
like,
an asshole.
like right
I'm
now.
gonna tell
Like,
you to leave.
goodbye.
Exactly.
Same as if you decided to strike up some incendiary conversation about politics when I've already told you that
I don't want that.
this is my, and I hate to use this term because it's been so fucking
My
battered
safe
by the
space.
left, but this is my safe space.
This is my castle.
It is. And this is where I want my peace and my happiness to exist. And when you come in with those things,
Yeah.
it disrupts that. And so maybe, we don't do that here.
Right.
Now, when I come to visit you, brother or cousin or sister or
we
bestie
can get
or
all
whatever,
into it.
yeah, if that's what you want to do, but just have respect enough for me
Mm-hmm.
and show me that you care about me in my surroundings. This is not personal for you. This is all about me.
In my castle, it's about me and my
Mhm.
family.
And leave it at that, because
Mhm.
at that point, no one really has any rebuttal to
No.
that.
And if they did, I
And
would
don't
say
feel
then,
bad that
then you
it's-
need to take your pack of politics and put it back in your purse and leave. You've smoked 20 of those today. It's time for you to quit.
Right.
Get a patch.
But yeah, like it's I just think that that's something that, because like you said, there are different levels. There's extremists on both sides of the aisle, and then there's the tepid area, and then there's the middle people. But there's such a disconnect too between the extreme sides, because there's right-wing people that I can't stand.
No, they're too much.
And I'm like, dude, you've got to calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like, you're way over the top.
Well,
you're even missing the mark here.
Yeah.
Well,
I respect freedom of speech very much.
Mhm.
And I will never say anyone should be shut down for their speech. But like an InfoWars, like we used to
Mhm.
re-air InfoWars on my radio station. But I will tell you myself, I can't stand Alex Jones. I can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh,
I can't stand his. And I've
No.
met him, not the same way in public. Yes, it is an act.
Mhm.
But to me, listening to him have a conversation is like nails on a chalkboard. I want to dig my eyes out. I want to tell him, stop, you're going to have an aneurysm.
I know.
Like just calm the fuck down.
Yeah, it's too much.
And I can't handle some of the things that become so, when you get to the point where it's so conspiracy,
Mhm.
and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I can look at them and do my own evaluation.
Mhm.
But I don't want to hear like, these people are lizard people. These
Mhm.
people drink babies' blood for, when you get into that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, you've lost reality.
Mhm.
You've lost a connection with reality if you think this is happening. If you think they're lizard people. Like it, so you have to put boundaries.
Mhm.
And those boundaries have to be something that you enforce. Don't
Mhm.
put boundaries and expect other people to just follow your boundaries if you haven't enforced your boundaries or you haven't stated your boundaries.
Right.
If you're just uncomfortable and you just secretly sit there uncomfortable in your own house, that's a you problem, not a
Yes,
they problem.
100%.
You can simply say, hey, can we, and you can change the subject.
Mhm.
You can, let's play a game.
Yep.
It's a lot harder for
Yep.
people to, and make sure you pick a game
That's
that
not
can't
politically
go to that
cannot be
direction.
manipulated to exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
And in the words of JD Vance, I don't really care,
I don't
Margaret.
really care, Margaret.
So hopefully we can get through this next one. We got
Okay.
like 4 minutes.
Oh,
So
wow.
we will see if we can get through the next one in 4 minutes, but we're going to try anyway. hopefully this one's easy. Dear Margaret, my husband and I are retiring soon, and he wants to sell the house and buy an RV and travel in the RV full time. I want the RV and to travel, but I do not want to sell everything and live full time in an RV. It scares me that if we do and I don't like it, or we don't like it, we could never find the house as amazing as the one we have ever again. What should I do? Signed, Wanderlust and Homebound. I'm gonna say my opinion real fast. You should have enough trust and enough of a foundation of those 4 pillars that you had that we talked about before, to have enough faith and trust and love within your relationship and your spouse. Sounds like you're both retiring, don't know how long you've been together, that you can just say, is there an alternative? Can we buy a smaller RV? Can we save up our money? Because looks like they're about to retire. Maybe buy a smaller RV and do some test runs, for a month or 2 at a time, and see how much we like it before we commit that fully into it. And if we find we're really, really loving this lifestyle, then maybe we could take another step. Maybe we get a bigger RV or something. And I'm not saying invest in this one and then a year later invest in a bigger one, because then that can become a negative cost analysis type of thing.
True.
But you can also rent an RV. I know that quite often is much more expensive, but you can also buy a less expensive one from somebody just privately selling one.
Yes.
And just see how much you even like it, because you might think it's a great idea. And the other thing is, watch a lot of YouTube videos on people that are doing it, but don't just watch the ones that seem, Big Truck, Big Travels is a great one. But don't just watch the ones that they're really loving it and they're enjoying it. Also go find the ones that have quit doing it. Also go find the ones who are having negative experiences, and determine for you what you want to do. You also have to determine how much stuff do you have and how much stuff do you want to part with. Because I went through this, Steve and I went through this. We decided we were going to sell our stuff and sell our house and sell everything we owned. And we were going to buy an RV and we were going to go full time, because he was doing an early medical retirement. Long story short, it didn't end up happening, but we did sell everything and we did buy the RV. And we ended up living in the RV for 4 years before we bought a house. And we sold everything. And we put a whole bunch of our stuff that we thought we needed to keep into storage. There was a handful of stuff that we could have put in a very small storage that was really important things that would have cost way less money. We spent more money keeping all that crap in storage than it would have cost to replace it. So you need to think about the cost aspect of the whole thing. And if you're already scared and you already don't want to sell your house, don't go into something where you're going to resent the other person forcing you into it. And that could simply be stopped and solved with a conversation. That's my take on it in a quick 4 minutes. Your thoughts?
Same.
Yeah. Like, there's not much to go
agree.
on with that one.
Well, and the only thing I would add to that is we've not had an RV life, but we've talked about doing the same, like selling everything, selling the house, doing all that. And we did all that. We watched lots of YouTube videos. I've watched people on TikTok. I've watched just to get a feel for the good, the bad, the ugly, people that aren't doing it anymore, different size
Why did they stop?
RVs, because some people have this little teeny tiny Airstream thing that they're pulling behind their Toyota Highlander, and then the other people have a double-decker bus, and then there's everything in between, and we have pets. So that was like a huge factor, like,
Yeah, are you gonna get
are
a
we gonna
pull
pile
behind?
5 dogs and 4 cats and a pet rooster all in a motorhome, just go cruising around? Like, I'm sure the campgrounds would love that.
You're gonna be a traveling petting zoo.
Yeah, for sure. And
My
so-
trailer behind me is actually
So-
a miniature
Yeah,
zoo.
come on.
Got chickens and goats and yeah.
I would
yeah.
so do it if this was the 70s, but,
I'm just
but like,
you could do it in a school bus if it was the 70s.
for sure.
All of them in there. Chickens in the window.
Do it.
It'd be all good.
But we have talked about doing that, and there's 2 things, at least for me, of we're older, so going out on the road for 5 or 10 years and then having to start back over again
Is
somewhere
scared.
else.
That's probably what she's scared
And
of.
maybe not the somewhere else part, but I'm thinking about the whole, like, finding a home, then having to furnish that son of a bitch all over again, going and picking dishes and silverware and drapes. And do you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and
when
the
you're
cost,
in your
and
60s
the
or
co-
70s,
and the
exactly.
cost,
And
you're-
that's a
you're
huge chunk.
gaining value of your house as it sits.
Right.
I mean, is there the possibility that you could rent your house out while
and-
you're traveling?
And that is an idea.
You
sure.
could Airbnb it for the 2 months you're on the road,
Yeah.
and then you have a
Yeah.
place. I mean, there are alternatives that you could, but I could see that. Like, I know I will never do it again.
Mhm.
Ever.
That's huge.
Ever.
That's huge.
Because I know it sounds really selfish in a sense, but I'm too attached to my stuff.
Mm.
I'm too
Mhm.
attached to my stuff, and I'm too attached to my house. And I also look at the housing markets.
Yeah,
The
that
cost of
too.
buying a house.
Yes.
If you bought your house in 1963, pick a place.
Right.
1963 in Anaheim, California. You probably paid $40,000,
Yeah.
$60,000
Yeah.
for it total. It's been paid for 30 years.
Mhm.
It's worth a couple $1 million probably
Mhm.
now. Like, would you walk away from that? Yeah, you could buy a customized bus with that kind of money.
Sure.
But if you decide in 2 years, I don't want to do that, and I want to go back to Anaheim, California, because that's the only, and I said that because that is my aunt,
Okay.
and that is her house.
Okay.
And if she was like, okay, now she's not going to do it. She's 80, 90 years old.
Mhm.
But if that were her position,
Mhm.
and then you did do all that, you'd probably go through the money.
Yes.
Because you would buy the fanciest bus or the
Yes.
fanciest this. You'd buy the tow behind. You'd do all the
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
And then you would find yourself, I hate this.
Mhm.
You can't afford to go back where you left.
Can't. You can't.
So you have to take that into account.
Exactly.
I mean, there's alternatives to that. You can have somebody that helps watch your property.
Mhm.
You could, if it's paid for, you could possibly have someone help just keep it
Mhm.
taken care of, because I don't trust somebody renting it.
Mhm.
But just make sure that you're checking it. Even checking if they left, for you guys, if you guys decided to go travel for a little while, go
Mhm.
on a road for a month, I will go over there. I'll feed the chickens. I'll
Mhm.
check on them. I'll
Mhm.
get the eggs. I'll make sure
Right.
they're taken care of. I'll check the fence. I'll do
Right.
the things that could need to be done. And you could feel and go and have a good time for a month
Yes.
or something
Yes.
away with comfort.
Yes.
But you have that option.
And to come back.
So
yes.
you have
like,
the house to come back
yes.
to.
And that's a big thing.
Yeah. And that's what I told
And then,
Steve.
and the other thing we discussed too is as we get older and having physical ailments, or I told him, I said, well, I mean, look, I'm looking at a hip replacement. And
Yeah.
there's no way if we were living in a motorhome, I would be physically capable of getting in and out.
No,
And
you'd be
with all
stuck
the-
in the motorhome
Exactly.
for your entire recovery process.
Yes.
So that
And
better
that's
be
not good.
That better be a really nice.
But I would have to go to physical therapy. So
no,
like I
they have to
couldn't
come to
even-
you.
Oh yeah, I guess they would. Huh? You're not leaving
You know?
this bus.
Sorry.
But like, so the things like that, or
Elevator steps.
if you get dementia, you get Alzheimer's, you get, and like, this is your final home as a motorhome in some RV park.
Especially if you
somewhere.
don't know where you've gone, where you are.
Yeah.
You know, there's a
So
lot of
there's a
things
lot
to
of things,
consider.
yes.
And I think you have to look at one, we don't know your age.
Yeah. Well, they said retired, right?
Getting ready
So,
to retire.
yeah.
So does that mean they started their work career at 18
and they're 30.
and they're 30?
Well, I don't want to answer you then, motherfucker, because I still have to work until noon on the day of my funeral.
Hold on, I gotta finish this dog. You start my funeral without me.
You've got to be on time for pickup today. I have a funeral, mine, to get to. But Fluffy's gonna fucking smell fantastic. One more anal gland squeeze. Sorry.
Did he squeeze it on your casket? That's what I want to know. Are you going to smell it all the way into the afterlife? You know, but that is a thing to consider. You know, like my husband and I bought a ambulance
Mhm.
and we're going to convert it into a traveling part of our business, but also for our RV.
Mhm.
And the main purpose of it is when he does retire, we do want to go on a road trip. We
Mhm.
want to do the long-term full summer in Alaska.
Gotcha.
And we wanted something that was rugged enough that could handle the roads in Alaska.
Mhm.
But when I went to Alaska, I fell in love with it. I want to go and I want to really experience Alaska for this full summer. Probably will never do it again once we do it. But we took into account where we want to go. So that's also got to be part of your thought process. Like, where do you want to go?
Yes.
Don't say I want to go and live in Alaska for a year in my RV.
Yeah.
Because you're going to die there.
For sure.
You are not going to live past the summer.
Probably October.
What's that movie of that guy who wandered out and died in the bus?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be him.
Yes. Yes.
You'll be next to him.
Yes.
You know, I mean, my mom and her fiance had their bus and they came and told me we're going to go to Alaska. And I was like, yeah, no, you're not. You're not. No. What do you mean you're just going to go to Alaska? Like, I'm like, are you taking a bag of carrots and potatoes with you for when you wander off into the Alaskan wonder and you just don't come back? Like, I need you to be protected. So I stood my ground. You're not going unless you join an organization and you do it in a caravan because they were in their 80s. Like, you're not going there by yourself in your 80s. So they paid, they went on a caravan tour and they have a maintenance truck and a maintenance guy that follows. They make the plans. The whole caravan goes to the same RV parks. And it was a whole thing, but they had protection. They had people that could fix their RVs if they broke.
Gotcha.
They already knew the locations where they were going to, and they rode together in a caravan. And, you know, I don't remember how many it was. It was like, I think it was like 20 or 30 RVers all together in this big caravan.
Cool. That's cool.
And they all went to the same places. Now, when you were there, you could go see some of the things that were there, but they already had like little setup tours for each of the different things. They went and saw they went and saw the polar bears. When they went somewhere, that wasn't in Alaska. That was when I don't remember where it was part of their Alaska tour or something, but I don't remember where it was. But anyway, each thing they did, they got little things that they could do with it. Is that someone saying your time is up? Yeah, because our time is up.
Into the Wild.
That's the name of the movie, Into the Wild. So anyway, we're going to read the last couple of messages so that we get these last ones there. This is in regards to the last
In regards to recent Dear Margaret, I don't know.
Stay humble.
Oh,
The other one is, and I think this is in regards to the Trump one. I hope that's right. But better it to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than the divide of the spoil with the people, with the proud. Okay, Proverbs 16:19. You're right. Like stay humble and just you do what you need to do, but just stay humble. You don't have to show that. You don't have to be
out in the open and
boastful.
boastful and
If you don't
arrogant
feel
and-
comfortable doing that, then don't do that. And I even for me, as out as I am, I know places not to do something that it would be hurtful to other people. Like I wouldn't go to a family event with the people who are not like that and wear this hat, just out of respect for them. Now, if they came to something I'm in, I will wear my hat. Like it's my house, it's my place, it's my stuff. But I'm not going to come to your thing and your stuff and be like, well, I am. And I saw people doing videos like that.
I
Like I'm
know.
going to my brother's house and I'm wearing my Trump
I
hat.
know.
Maybe don't. Like you don't have to be a dick about it. Be humble. Don't be boastful. Don't be prideful. I completely agree with what he said there. And then in regards to that same one, this is my space. There are many like it, but this one is mine. And that was from Steve. And then Tim says storage. Seems like we've been there.
Putting everything
And then he said Into the Wild. That was the movie Into the Wild.
Yeah.
So take all those things into account. And some of the days our Dear Margarets will take up the whole show because it's discussing these questions. And we had one that we spent almost an entire hour on.
Yeah.
Because it was a very serious question. So we're going to give it the right amount of time that it needs to discuss. And we're not going to we're not going to rush through something like that one that was really important because your safety should be paramount. Your safety and your welfare should be paramount. And for anyone out there that feels like they might be struggling with an alcoholic or an abusive home, please think long and hard about what your return on your investment is. What are you getting out of this relationship? And is it or would it be better for you to take it as a life lesson, take it as a learning moment, and move to protect yourself and move away from that relationship? That's all I can say for you. I have personal experience in that, so I know it is better after. Because during, I thought there was nothing. I thought there would be no on the other side. Because you do feel that alone, that vulnerable, that broken, that you can't have anything good. Nothing good is ever going to come because I'm horrible. I'm broken. I'm a bad person. He wouldn't have done this to me if I wasn't. And I'm not saying you have to do those affirmations because I think those are kind of a joke, but gosh darn it, people like me. But the reality is, don't also do the negative affirmations based on how somebody has been treating you, because you do start feeding on that. So with that, do the best that you can for yourself, and always put your mask on first. Put your oxygen mask on first before you help someone else. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed our show, and we will be back tomorrow at 7:00. And we were on time starting today, so maybe we can be on time leaving tomorrow. I don't know. Depends. Hopefully our questions and we may not have any questions. We just happen to have, I had like 5 questions that were sent in to me. So I have 2 other ones that I put aside.
Okay.
So, just remember to think things through, and it's okay to talk them through with somebody else as well. But we'll be here again tomorrow, and for now, it's bye for now. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, and all of our stuff is Gurl TauX, Gurl TauX, and we'll talk to you about it tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.